Okay, so you're looking for some serious knowledge, right?
Yeah.
You want to know the deal without getting bogged down with every tiny detail? That's where we come in. Today, we're going to zoom in and take a really good look at the 2024 ASUS ROG Zephyrus G14 gaming laptop.
Yep. We've gone deep into the reviews, specs, user experiences, you name it. We've tried to get to the heart of what this machine is all about. We want to help you figure out, is this the right laptop for you? Whether you're all about gaming or maybe creative work on the go, or even a mix of both.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't some brand new laptop either, right? Like the Zephyrus G14 already has this rep for packing it a ton of power into a really portable design.
Right.
So for this 2024 model, the big questions are, what did they really improve? And, is this thing still a top contender?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, let's jump right in. First things first, how easy is this thing to actually carry around?
Well, the first thing you notice is ASUS is still all about that balance between power and portability,
Yeah.
This year's G14 weighs only 3.31 pounds and it's super thin, only
Wow.
0.73 inches. That's really thin and light for a gaming laptop. I think that's a big deal for people who really need to take their laptop everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's super portable. And it doesn't seem like they skimped on quality to make it that thin either, right?
Right.
Like everyone's talking about how premium this magnesium aluminum alloy chassis feels, so sounds like they nailed the build quality.
Yeah, definitely.
Plus, you've got those cool color options too.
Yeah.
Moonlight white, eclipse gray. So it looks good, it feels good, it performs well.
Yeah, I think so.
But we got to talk about the ROG look.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the anime matrix LED display?
Yeah, on the lid.
Right, right. It's pretty cool. You can customize it with animations or text or even like system notifications. It's a cool way to personalize it.
Right.
But it's not on every model.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so if that's something you're interested in, you got to make sure the model you're getting actually has it.
Okay, good to know. So it's like a little bonus feature for those who want it.
Right.
But even without that, the overall design seems really well thought out. Like the hinge, for example.
Oh, yeah, the hinge is great.
The reviews were really positive about that.
Yeah.
It's not just about opening and closing smoothly.
Oh, no, definitely not. It helps with cooling, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when you open the laptop, the hinge lifts the base up a little bit.
Oh, I see.
So there's more airflow underneath. And that helps keep everything cool when you're really pushing the laptop.
So it's like a sneaky little design trick to help with thermals.
Exactly. And, the reviewers also like the overall build, slimmer bezel, so you get more screen in the same size laptop. And the keyboard layout is better, too.
Yeah.
They really refined everything.
Nice. So if you're looking for a laptop that feels solid and well-made, the G14 checks those boxes.
I think so.
Okay, so it's portable and it feels premium. But let's talk about the part you're going to be staring at the most, the screen.
Yes.
That Nebula HDR display. The reviews were raving about it.
It's pretty impressive. It's a big upgrade this year. It's not just good for gaming either. It's also great for content creation and just everyday use.
Oh, wow. So it's really versatile.
Yeah, it's got a really sharp resolution, 2560 by 1600, super smooth, 165 hertz refresh rate, and a 3 mirrors response time. So everything looks super crisp. And it's a mini LED panel too, so it gets super bright. Over 600 nits.
Those are some serious specs.
Yeah, and for people who need accurate colors like photographers or video editors, it's got 100% DCI-P3 color gamut coverage, so colors are going to be really accurate.
That's huge for anyone doing color-sensitive work.
Right, and it's got adaptive sync to get rid of screen tearing and Dolby Vision for HDR content, so it's really a top-tier display.
Sounds like it. And it's got that 16:10 aspect ratio, right?
Yeah, which is a little different. It gives
Yeah.
you more vertical space compared to the usual 16.9.
Okay.
So for gamers, that means you can see a bit more of the game world.
Yeah.
And for people working on documents or spreadsheets or video timelines, it just means less scrolling.
So it's more efficient for productivity, too.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You mentioned the mini LED backlighting and how it improves the HDR performance. What does that actually mean for the person using the laptop?
So imagine this. You have like a normal LED backlight. It lights up big sections of the screen at once, right?
Yeah.
With mini LED, you have these tiny little LEDs packed really close together.
Okay.
And that means you can control the brightness of much smaller areas of the screen.
Oh, I see.
So you get way better contrast, like really deep blacks and really bright whites at the same time. And you really notice it when you're watching HDR content. Like if you're playing a game and there's a dark scene, you can actually see all the details in the shadows. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
So yeah, if you really care about image quality and accurate colors, this display is a big selling point.
Definitely. But to run all those pixels and that high refresh rate smoothly, you need some serious power under the hood.
You got it.
Let's talk specs. What's powering this thing?
All right, so you've got the AMD Ryzen 9 945HS processor, 8 cores, 16 threads, and it can boost up to 5.2 gigahertz.
Okay, that's pretty fast.
Plus, you've got the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070 GPU. That's got 8 GB of GDDR6 memory and a TGP of 110W. So basically, this laptop's got the muscle to handle pretty much anything you throw at it.
Yeah, so for gamers out there, what kind of performance can they expect? Can it run the latest games at 1440p smoothly?
Yeah, definitely. The reviews say it handles 1440p gaming really well, even on the newest AAA titles.
Nice.
And it's got some pretty cool tech to help boost performance even more, like NVIDIA DLSS 3 and frame generation.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of those. What do they actually do?
So DLSS stands for Deep Learning Super Sampling. Basically, it uses AI to render the game at a lower resolution and then upscale it to 1440p, so you get better frame rates without losing much visual quality.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah, and frame generation actually creates whole new frames based on the previous one, so it makes everything look even smoother.
Wow.
It's especially noticeable in demanding games like Cyberpunk 2077 or Baldur's Gate 3 or Call of Duty Warzone.
So it's like a secret weapon for getting those super smooth frame rates.
Yeah, exactly. But this laptop isn't just for gaming. It can handle productivity tasks just as well.
Right, we talked about that. So
Yeah.
how does it perform for things like video editing or 3D rendering?
That 8-core Ryzen processor is really good for multitasking and those kind of heavy workloads.
Okay.
And the PCIe Gen 4 SSD is super fast. So if you're working with large files like 4K video, it's going to load and save everything really quickly.
That's a big time saver for content creators.
Definitely.
Now, there's one thing about the specs that kind of stood out to me, and it's something potential buyers should really think about.
What's that?
The RAM.
Yeah.
Comes with 32 GB of LPDDR5, which is a lot.
It is.
But it's soldered to the motherboard, so you can't upgrade it later.
Yeah, that's a trade-off. They did that to make the laptop thinner and more efficient, but does mean you're stuck with 32 GB.
Right, so if you think you might need more RAM down the line, that's something to keep in mind.
Definitely. 32 GB is enough for most people right now, but you never know what the future holds.
True. All right, so they crammed all this powerful hardware into this tiny chassis. How do they keep it from overheating?
That's a good question. They've put a lot of effort into the cooling system. It's got a custom vapor chamber that covers both the CPU and the GPU. It's basically like a really flat heat pipe, and it helps move heat away from those components really quickly.
Oh, I see.
They're also using liquid metal thermal compound on the CPU. That's better than regular thermal paste for transferring heat.
Okay.
And it's got these dual arc flow fans. Each fan has a bunch of really thin blades so they can move a lot of air without making too much noise.
So nice.
Plus, they've got vents all around the laptop to let the hot air escape.
So it's a pretty sophisticated cooling setup.
Yeah, they really thought about it.
What about real-world temperatures? Like, if you're playing a demanding game, how hot does it get?
The reviews say it usually stays around 85 degrees Celsius for both the CPU and GPU.
Okay.
That's pretty normal for a laptop this size and power, and it shouldn't cause any performance issues.
That's good to know. And they also said the fans are quieter this year.
Yeah, apparently they're much less noticeable than on the previous models, which is great.
It's always nice when your gaming session isn't accompanied by a jet engine.
Right. So it's portable, powerful, and it stays cool and quiet.
Yeah.
But what about battery life? That's a big deal for a portable laptop.
Yeah, especially a gaming laptop. They don't usually have the best battery life.
You're right, but this one's not bad, actually. It's got a 76W battery, which is pretty good for its size.
Okay.
And the reviews say you can get up to 9 hours of battery life if you're just doing light tasks like browsing the web or working on documents.
Well, that's impressive for a gaming laptop.
Yeah, if you're watching videos, you'll probably get around 5 or 6 hours. And if you're gaming, you might get 2 or 3 hours.
Okay, not bad at all. Especially for gaming. What makes the battery life so good?
Well, first of all, the AMD Ryzen 9 processor is really efficient, especially when you're not pushing it too hard. And it's got this thing called a MUX switch with Advanced Optimus.
What's that?
So basically, it can switch between the integrated graphics and the dedicated RTX 4070 GPU, depending on what you're doing. So if you're just browsing the web, it'll use the integrated graphics, which saves power. And if you start gaming, it'll switch to the RTX 4070.
Oh, that's smart. So it's only using the powerful GPU when it needs to.
Exactly. And it can also charge with USB-C, which is really convenient.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
So you don't always have to carry the big power brick around.
All right, let's move on to the keyboard and trackpad. What are people saying about those?
The keyboard's pretty good. It's comfortable to type on, they say. Good key travel, so it feels nice when you press the keys.
Okay.
It's got RGB backlighting, of course, and a whole row of dedicated function keys. like volume controls and a button to open the ROG Armory Crate software.
What's that?
It's basically the software you use to customize the laptop's settings.
Oh, okay.
And some reviews said the actuation force is better now. That means the keys are a little bit harder to press accidentally.
Oh, that's nice, especially for gaming.
Yeah, no more accidental key presses in the middle of a tense moment.
And the trackpad.
The trackpad is bigger this year, which is good. And they say it's smooth and responsive.
Nice.
It also supports Windows precision drivers, so all the gestures work really well.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah, so you can easily navigate and multitask without a mouse.
Cool. Any downsides?
Well, some people said the click is kind of weird, like it only really clicks properly at the bottom of the trackpad.
Interesting.
It's probably something you get used to, but it's worth mentioning.
Okay, so what about ports? What can you plug into this thing?
It's got a pretty good selection for a laptop this thin.
Like what?
You've got 2 USB-C ports. One of them does power delivery and DisplayPort 1.4, so you can charge the laptop and connect an external monitor.
Oh, nice.
Then there are 2 USB-A ports, an HDMI 2.1 ported, a microSD card reader, and a headphone jack.
So pretty much everything you need.
Yeah, I think so.
What about wireless?
It's got Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3, so you're good to go on the wireless front, too.
All right, last but not least, let's talk audio. How does this thing sound?
They've really improved the audio on this model. It's got a quad speaker setup now, so 4 speakers total. And it supports Dolby Atmos.
Oh, wow.
So it should sound pretty immersive.
Does it?
The reviews say it sounds good for a laptop this size, clear mids and highs, decent volume, but the bass is still a little lacking.
Yeah, that's pretty typical for small laptops.
Right. So if you're really into music or you want the best possible audio experience for gaming, you'll probably want to use headphones.
Makes sense.
But for casual listening and video calls, the built-in speakers are fine.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
What's the overall verdict on the 2024 Zephyrus G14?
It's a really good laptop. I mean, it's super portable. It's got an amazing display, whether you get the OLED or the Nebula HDR, and it's got plenty of power for gaming and productivity.
And the build quality is great too.
Oh, yeah, it feels really premium. But there are a few things to consider. The battery life is good for a gaming laptop, but it's not going to last all day if you're gaming constantly. Right. And some people might not like that it has a proprietary charging port in addition to USB-C.
Yeah, that's a little annoying.
And of course, you can't upgrade the RAM.
Right.
So yeah, there are some trade-offs.
But overall, it sounds like a really solid choice.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely one of the best portable gaming laptops out there right now. It's perfect for people who need power and portability and a great screen, but it does come at a premium price.
Yeah, you definitely get what you pay for. So for our listeners out there, what are the key takeaways from this deep dive?
So remember the big things. Portability. Stunning. Display lots of power. But think about that non-upgradable RAM and the price. Ask yourself, do you really need to game on the go?
Yeah.
Is a beautiful, color-accurate display important for your work? Once you've thought about those things, you can decide if the Zephyrus G14 is right for you.
Good advice. And here's something else to think about. Laptop technology is always evolving. So what do you think? How will this balance between power and portability change in the future?
That's a good question. I mean, who knows what they'll come up with next, right?
Right. Maybe we'll all be gaming on holographic laptops or something.
Maybe. The possibilities are pretty exciting.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you, man.
Keep on learning, everyone.